game we created named Lilypad Leap is an adaptation of the popular American drinking game of beer pong. Beer pong is believed to have originated from fraternities in Dartmouth College during the 1950s and 1960s and has since expanded into the general American culture. While this concept is not isolated to just a drinking game, the idea of bouncing an object into a specific target was derived from the particular drinking game. We took the concept of a bounce shot and recreated this idea onto a large-scale level. The concept of using angles and trajectory to land an object into a designated location also comes from multiple games of chance found at carnivals and fairs around the world. The purpose of the game is to bounce a tennis ball onto a 2x3 tile rectangle outlined by duct tape, which will bounce into one of the 4 bins. The following are the rules of the game. A player will receive a tennis ball to bounce onto a 2x3 tile horizontal rectangle outlined by duct tape and land in one of the 4 bins. Each player will stand behind a taped line that is 3 tiles long. The line is taped on the floor 3 tiles from the edge of the target. 3 adjacent bins will be duct taped to the floor 8 tiles from the starting line, 3 tiles from the target, and 4th bin will be directly behind the front row. All bins yield 1 point. Each player has 4 tries to bounce the tennis ball into a bin. If the ball does not hit the target first, it does not count. All throws must be overhand. To prevent the tennis ball from hitting into each other, each person must wait for the next person to go. A success is defined as the tennis ball bouncing onto the target on the floor, which must land into one of the 4 bins. The group hypothesis states that less than 30% of players will be able to accomplish this success. The team will use a 1-proportion z-test to test this claim. We assume that most of the high school juniors and seniors would not be able to complete this task. Our expectations were set extremely low because we expected a high level of difficulty due to the many possible angles the subjects would have thrown the ball. Although the task appeared simplistic, our group decided that since the task was not too difficult, the students may overthink the process, resulting in a low percentage of success. Our conditions were met, meaning our data was collected from a simple random sample, our sample was less than 1/10 of the population, and we had a normal distribution. Using a 1-proportion z-test, we reached a conclusion that there is not enough evidence to conclude that the true proportion of juniors and seniors who can bounce a ball into the basket is less than 30%. What we can take from our data is that statistically it is nearly impossible that less than 30% of the students can achieve a success from the game. We underestimated our sample in the original hypothesis, thus resulting in the conclusion that our hypothesis will most likely not occur.
There were no major deviations from the original plan. A minor addition we included was putting duct tape underneath the laundry baskets to stabilize them. Another alteration was if the ball goes in and bounces out, it still counts as a point. The execution of the game went as planned with students following and maintaining the guidelines. This setup time was increased from what we planned because of the tediousness of setting up the tape to stabilize the baskets. However, this did not detract from us retrieving a decent sample size of 45. Students lined up in a semi-orderly fashion, participating in the game until time was up. One group member recorded the number of times the ball landed in the basket and the number of times the subjects missed. Another group member held the bag for students to retrieve tennis balls. The third group member retrieved the tennis balls to refill the bag while another group member monitored the line. The 5th group member watched to make sure all the rules were met and followed. In the execution stage, we could have set the baskets farther apart because the students were able to make a basket almost every time. We could have either created more distance between the student, the box, and the basket, or we should have decreased the size of the basket. There were no real level of difficulty involved in this task, and we underestimated the students' ability. In the future, we should create a more difficult task.
Oh, hey, stop.
Ow! Ow! First of all, I'm sorry. The second thing,
Alright, keep going.
I didn't even notice that landed in there anyway.